Welcome to G Fun Facts Online. Imagine a nursery, not one with cribs and mobiles, but one teeming with life on a scale that's hard to fathom. Now, place this nursery at the top of the world, in the high Arctic. And the infants? They're not just any animals. They're baby dinosaurs, fresh from the egg, sharing their home with the hatchlings of the earliest modern birds. This isn't science fiction. This is the incredible, real-life picture emerging from the frozen bluffs of northern Alaska, a discovery that is completely rewriting what we thought we knew about the age of dinosaurs. Let's travel back 73 million years to the late Cretaceous. The place is the Prince Creek Formation in Alaska. Today, it's a frigid, windswept landscape. Back then, while warmer, it was no tropical paradise. It was situated about 10 degrees farther north than it is today, meaning it endured months of total winter darkness, freezing temperatures, and even snow. Think modern-day Ottawa, Canada, with an average annual temperature of just 6 degrees Celsius. This was a challenging place to live, a muddy coastal plain covered in plants tough enough to survive the extreme seasons. For decades, paleontologists digging here faced a huge puzzle. They found plenty of fossils from massive dinosaurs, but were these creatures just summer tourists? Did they migrate south to escape the brutal dark winters? The answer, it turns out, was hiding in the tiniest of clues. Researchers unearthed hundreds of delicate bones and teeth from very, very young dinosaurs. We're talking hatchlings and infants from at least 7 different dinosaur families, including the relatives of T-Rex, duck-billed hadrosaurs, and the famous horned Pachyrhinosaurus. These baby dinosaurs were far too small and fragile to have made a long, arduous migration south. This is the smoking gun evidence that these dinosaurs were permanent, year-round residents of the Arctic. They weren't just visiting, they were building nests, laying eggs, and raising their families in this polar environment. Some of their eggs took up to 6 months to incubate, leaving no time for a round trip before the dark winter set in. Finding fossils of baby dinosaurs is incredibly rare because their bones are so delicate they almost never survive to become fossils. The sheer number of them here makes this one of the most important sites for understanding dinosaur family life in the world. It suggests that adult dinosaurs were dedicated parents, perhaps living in multi-generational herds and caring for their young long after they hatched, a strategy that would have been crucial for survival. But the story doesn't end with dinosaurs. The most recent, and perhaps most stunning chapter of this discovery involves their feathered contemporaries, birds. For a long time, the role of birds in this polar ecosystem was a complete mystery. Their fossil record was practically non-existent, but after a painstaking analysis of over 50 tiny fossilized bones and teeth, a whole new world has been revealed. Scientists have identified a surprisingly diverse community of ancient birds. There were diving birds similar to modern loons, gull-like toothed birds, and even species that look like the ancestors of today's ducks and geese. And here's the most crucial part. Among these fossils were the bones of embryos still in the egg and newly hatched chicks. This is the first concrete proof that birds were breeding and nesting in the Arctic, right alongside the dinosaurs. This single discovery pushes back the known record of birds nesting in polar regions by an astonishing 25 to 30 million years. Before this, the earliest evidence we had came from penguin fossils in Antarctica, long after the non-avian dinosaurs had vanished. This completely shatters the old idea that early birds were too primitive to handle raising a family in the extreme Arctic. Think about the challenge for these hatchlings. As a tiny, freshly hatched bird, you'd either have to somehow survive a harsh polar winter or attempt a grueling 2,000-kilometer migration when you're just a few months old. The very presence of these baby bird fossils proves that some of these ancient birds were already remarkably adapted to extreme environments. Some even had advanced features we see in all modern birds, like toothless jaws. So the picture that emerges from the Prince Creek Formation is one of a complex, thriving, and shared nursery. Imagine it. Giant Pachyrhinosaurus and herds of hadrosaurs tending to their nests on the plains, while the smaller, fearsome Tyrannosaur Nanosaurus prowled the landscape. And all around them, the skies and waters were alive with birds, diving for fish, and raising their own broods in this bustling, seasonal world. This discovery fundamentally changes our view of bird evolution. It shows that the Arctic has been a critical nursery for birds for at least half of their 150 million-year history, their roots running deep into a time when their dinosaur relatives still ruled the Earth. The ability of these ancient birds to thrive in such a challenging environment may have been a key reason why their descendants, modern birds, survived the extinction event that wiped out the other dinosaurs, allowing them to diversify into the thousands of species we see today. The frozen ground of Alaska has given us a breathtaking glimpse into the past. It reveals that for millions of years, the top of the world wasn't a desolate wasteland, but a vibrant, shared nursery. A place where the last of the great dinosaurs and the ancestors of all modern birds raised their young, side by side, against the backdrop of the polar night. The Arctic, it turns out, has been a cradle of life for far, far longer than we ever imagined.